Good morning. Welcome to Just Talking 24, page 63. Um, this morning, the word of the day, word of the week is the acquiring and retaining of knowledge. Learn. We use it as a very everyday word. Gotta learn how, gotta learn how. But how many of us actually do learn? You know, um, I've said this many times about people that have been in their profession for years, perhaps decades, but they still don't understand their profession. They haven't learned it. They've done it. Don't tell me I've been in engineering for so many years. I go, really? Then how come, this is like this? And then, why, why do you make it? Um, a good example is roadways, the lines on roadways, the way they mark them. We have a situation in my own valley. Coming out of the valley on one of the we have four. My valley has four avenues coming out, and one of them is a very well used avenue, and that's because it's the start of the on ramp. You to get to the freeway, you use that particular street. It's called Sixth Avenue, and at this one major intersection, you have two lanes. The left lane is a left turn straight. The right lane is a right turn only. Now, the other way, heading north, the left turn is a left turn only, and the right is a right turn or straight. That makes sense because right turns are easier than left turns because when you do a left turn, you're crossing the oncoming traffic. And we have been after them for years to change it. And they won't, and they cite because of a business that's on the corner. That's the last I heard. It was because it would interfere with the business. And I keep telling them, then, I mean, since when does a private company, the need of a private company override the need of the public? And we don't hear any, that's the way it is. But that's our engineers. You know, um, I've told you that I was in line at pharmacy, and the guy in front of me, he was a well-established, knowledgeable person, a male, and he um, held a pretty high position in the state administration. And this poor pharmacist was trying to explain to him that as of the first of the month, your prescription plan would no longer cover your prescription. You got to go change it. Over 5 minutes, she was trying to explain this to this guy. And he kept insisting that the month before his plan had covered it. And she, poor thing, she was really getting, she was trying. And I understood, that this being July, and it was in July, and a lot of this particular company, the Blue Shield company, it changes every 6 months. So July, January, and they tell you, that this prescription is not going to be covered, and then you got to go talk to your doctor. And there are alternatives because I've run into that myself. But he just would not understand. I mean, that's what I mean. You don't learn. Right now, if you hear a lot of background noises today, that's because we're expecting a weather system to come in. They're expecting gusts, southerly gusts. They said up to 50, possibly 60 miles an hour, and it's going to last for a couple of days. But see, even our weather department, they got it right. I mean, normally, yeah, they tell you hunker down for something, and it comes and it doesn't come. Well, this one they're getting pretty right. It's been acting so far the way exactly what they said. which they brag about, right? Oh, you know, we're so good. Yeah, right. Hey, 1 out of 10 ain't bad, right? But they learn. And that's what life is. Life, you're not born with a certain set of facts. You're not born with a certain set of knowledge. You've got to develop your own, and that is learning. And that's what we got to do. You know, we have to learn, and we don't because we forget. And if you forget, you haven't learned. Retention is a big part of learning. That's a big test. That's why we get tests in school. You know, that's why the teachers would quiz us and quiz us and quiz us and quiz us. Every week we used to get spelling tests, remember? Or weekly quizzes and stuff. And that's just because to reinforce the retention of knowledge, to make sure you learn. They don't do that anymore. Um, I don't know why. I really don't. With today's modern, you know, everybody and his brother got his own, you know, computer in class and stuff like that. Tests should be just seconds, and to grade a test just like that, you know, you can chart the results and every. I mean, it's so much easier if you learn to use the tools properly. I mean, science is a great thing. Don't get me wrong. I love science, but science is not. It's just a tool to help you. It's not the defining thing. Sometimes it is, but most of the time it isn't. Most of the time it's just a tool to use. But you listen to these scientists, and you know their word. They're way out there. Sometimes I'm out there. I am way out there, but I give reason, and if you show me something different, I'll learn. I always see that's the part about learning. Know that the knowledge you retain may not be always accurate, and it's always, you know, it's always up for review, and it's always up for revision. Know that you're not. It's not in stone. Nothing is in stone. Everything that you learn can be unlearned or changed or revised. That's what you learn. See, we use the word so easily, yet we don't really understand what it means to learn. Um, Learn to, you know, tolerate other people. But no, if it doesn't fit the facts that you have in here, even though they show you a good reason why, people go, no, well, right there, you put up the wall to learning. And how many people have you met like that? A lot, right? Tell them something, they jump in the what I call jumping in the river. Denial. They deny it. It's it's sad. With our, you know, we've come so far technologically, yet we haven't learned about it. We haven't learned it. You know, you watch these kids with their phones. I've told you I don't have one. You know, my friends keep telling me, hey, you know, you gotta get into the, you know, the 21st century, bro. You gotta get a phone. You gotta get a phone. I said, I have a phone. No, no, no. You gotta get so you can download your apps and, you know, go on face page or whatever. I said, no, I don't do that. I said, what are we doing right now? We're talking, and you know, we you can hear the emotion in the person's voice if we you know, if we're over the phone, you know. But if we're one to one, you can see their faces, watch their, you know, their body language. I said, you learn a lot. Well, there we go, learn, right? Yeah, you learn a lot from a person by talking to a person and not just texting. Texting, it's just a very impersonal, very cold, just set of words. And you know, you don't know how you get these emojis. I said, you know, these eyes, they're getting bad. And those emojis are very small. He goes, yeah, but you know, the emoji, you know, there's a tear coming out of the eye. I said, what? What does that mean? Oh, laughing till I cry. Oh, why don't you just say it? Laughing, you know, brah. And then I can hear it in your voice. I can hear, you know, I can hear the laughter in your voice. I can hear the anger in your voice. I can hear the frustration in your voice right now because I won't even consider a smartphone, and I haven't. How many places I've had to call because they'll tell me that if I wanted their app, they'll text me a code. I said, no, you won't. What? I said, no, you won't text me a code. No, 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 we can't. Just give us the number. I said, that's the problem. They go, what's the problem? I said, I don't have texting. And then there's silence. I love it. There's just silence. I go, hello? You still there? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, okay, so what do we do? I said, don't you have a voice? Haven't you, doesn't your system have voice? Can't you call me with a code? Some companies they do. In fact, quite a few, the bigger companies, the more, the because a lot of companies they're realizing that people are getting away from that. It's like anything else. People are getting away from the green effect. We're finding out that hey, guess what? Climate's going to change, and it ain't because of man. You know, we don't care how much farts a cow puts out. It's not going to change the rate or the type of climate change that we're going to have. We're going to have climate change. We gotta learn that nothing stays the same. Although we love it, we love the way things are right now. We don't want we want them ever to change, but they do. The sun turns. I mean, the world turns. The sun. Well, they say the sun turns only because they saw the sunspots go across the surface of the sun. But I said, how do you know it's just not just floating and it's just not really turning, but it's just blowing on the side? It's not part of a turn. Oh, I don't know. Go learn. But yeah, just learn stuff. And people, they, I guess they're just comfortable with what they got and they want everything to stay the same. But you got to learn that nothing stays the same. Everything is different. Um, the that's the way nature is. Constantly in a constant state of not being the same. It stays the same, but yet it's different. That's part of the balance, like I keep talking about. That balance, it comes into everything. I'm learning that how much how important balance is. For every one there's some. What they said, for every action there's a reaction. What they used to tell us, for every action there's an opposite and equal reaction. No, it's not equal. But for everything you do, there's something else on the backside. Don't just say we're gonna do this, and like the mayor just signed a bill to say that we have this fixed guide rail called Skyline, and it's costing billion. It's like that's the speed rail that they have in California. At least ours, it's gone. It's built. It's being built, and it's gone the easy part right now, and now they're trying the hard part. And in the easy part, I think they spent something like $9 billion already. And I've said if it comes in under 14 billion, I'll be very pleasantly surprised. This thing is gonna just be a vacuum. Construction costs and then maintenance and then low ridership because in order to get okay, they come from all these stations. How do you get to the stations? The stations don't have parking. So you got to catch the bus, which is inadequately supplied right now, even though they come on and say, we have the best, one of the best bus systems in the country. Well, that's not saying much if, all the bus systems in the country suck. That's, we're the top sucker. That's what I mean. We can't even get our kids to school. We don't even have enough buses for that. How are you going to add on all these people coming to work? And then when you get into work, how do you get to your office? You got to walk. You got all your papers and everything, and then you have to leave. How do you get home? You got to get a bus, get to the station, get. I said, maybe on the mainland you can do that, but Hawaii, we're so spoiled and we're so used to having our own conveyance, our own cars, that to bring something like this up is pretty bad, especially when you don't have room. It's just the one thing with the mainland, you got room. Yes, that's when I went to there in 1970. That's the first thing that I noticed from being on a little rock was how much space there was, how much room they got. Of course, they can build a 1400 lane roadway. They got the room. In Hawaii, we get trouble with 3 lanes. Big difference. It's a but people don't learn it. We do exactly what the mainland does because we haven't learned that we're not like the mainland. We have you know, different limitations. But no, we follow California. Oh, God, that's why we mini California. And our people think that they're so, we're so advanced because we're following the California. We were 6 weeks behind. Oh, by the way, our gas prices have gone up. Remember, I told you they were 4.49 or something. Well, they're up to 4.73 now or something like that. It went up. The prices of gas went up. I don't know why. I don't know why it's higher than what it was. I guess because they still want their percentage of profit, and just add on whatever extra it is. What a rip. I'm learning. I am learning. But yeah, so that skyline, they've signed a bill that it's going to bring it from where it is now, which is it's a shopping center, Alamana Center. Amazing, yeah. Originally, the skyline was sold as an idea to convey people from east to west campuses of the University of Hawaii system. Okay, to make that system one big one. Yet, it's stopping at Ala Shopping Center. Not even close to University of Hawaii. So now it's going to go up to University of Hawaii. You know how expensive that is? Because right now you're coming through the main, a light industrial area to Ala Shopping Center. Then you got to go through a major populated area. And then where all the single family dwellings are, you're going to have to take land for that. And then to get back on track to the University of Hawaii. It's that's what I've learned. I just learned that it's so dirty. It's so bad. Just improve the bus system. We have a bus system. Just improve it, but they can't. They want to act like this is the monorail. You remember back in the well, you don't remember. I do. Back in the '60s, when we used to have a Rhodes Fair. And one of the things about the Rhodes Fair that was so magical was this monorail system. Disneyland had one of the first monorail systems. Oh, and everybody rode the monorail. Went to Vegas. In Vegas, they had monorails connecting casinos. It was so future-like. It was so advanced. Well, that's similar to what they got now, but right now it's just sucking blood out of us, costing us billions of dollars that we don't have. We'll never have. That's what happens. That's unchecked spending, and it was all brought. Sadly, it was all brought upon by the Democratic Party, which is what we are. We're blue. We're royal blue. And what they got to understand is that the people, they're getting very close to saying enough already, if they haven't already. And then what happens when you got these multi-billion-dollar projects, then you got no money? All they're going to do is just end up being dust catching multi-billion-dollar projects, which is what I said years ago. When they first started building, they built the first leg of this thing. And everybody said nobody's going to ride, and nobody does ride it. Really, the ridership is very, very low. It's very expensive, and it doesn't save you that much time because every day on the news they say, if you go by your car, it's this many minutes, but if you go by Skyline, it's this many minutes, and they show. I mean, there's a difference, but Skyline only takes you, remember, to the station. You got to get from the station to your house. If you're in your own car, you go directly to your house. So yeah, it may take me 50 minutes to get home and 34 minutes to get to Skyline, which is a difference of 16 minutes, but I gotta get from Skyline to my home. How long does that take? And how convenient is that? And if I gotta go, and if I gotta, say you go home, you gotta pick up food on the way home. How do you do that when you're stuck on a fixed rail? You see, our lifestyle is not, we didn't grow up like on the mainland. In New York, they've got the subway, they've got mass transit, and a lot of people, they don't, they commute from the suburbs to, to the cities using a fixed rail system or using some kind of public transportation system because there's no parking in town. You know, I mean, you got all these people working inside of a city and you don't have parking. You don't need a car. You have a car at home and the car stays home and then you use it for your own, off hour jaunts and everything. But in Hawaii, no, our car is, we get all around in the car. People pay hundreds of dollars to park in town. It's unbelievable. When I had my towing company, and this is back in the 80s now, this is, we're talking 30, 40 years ago, they were paying already hundred something dollars a month. So imagine what it is today. It's like a mortgage to park your car. And it doesn't make sense. I mean, at the hospital I was working at, they charge us $75. I go, $75 for what? For parking. And put it this way, I started at 5 o'clock in the morning. My first bus, by my house starts at 5:30. So how do I get to work at 5 o'clock in the morning if I start at 5:30? Plus they call me up, they call me at 11 o'clock at night. Come in early. I jump in. I'm only 7 minutes away with my car. Yet, nope, you got to pay $75 a month parking. See, and we don't learn. Oh, that was one of the things I wanted to bring up in negotiation. Free parking or, this discounted parking. Well, you can't do that. Why? Because all the money that the hospital made went to the shareholders of the company. But yeah, we gotta learn to live with each other. Learn that we're all different, yet we're all the same. Learn to use balance. Learn all of these pages that I give out. There is something in there. Please learn it. I live it, so it's hard for me to think what I've learned and tell you because I just do it already. It's already integrated in my lifestyle. It's integrated in my, in my mannerisms. So, like I tell people, what you learning, I forgot, which is true. It's already so automatic for me that I've forgotten that I learned it. But yet, everything, even to suckle at our mother's breast, we learn. You know, and we're not born with these. We're born with natural instincts. Okay, granted. See what I mean? That's the balance. But we learn our behavior. Man has natural instincts, but he learns behavior. And that's a balance. Everything, see how everything is a balance? And I'm learning that. It's blowing my mind how balanced everything is. Well, how sort of. But people, and I'm learning that a lot of people, and I mean a lot, the normal actions of people is two, night or day, on or off, black or white. Although they keep telling us we're 3D, but we live in 2D. We haven't learned to live in the third D. You know, like I told you, debate versus discussion. Debate is, right and wrong. Discussion is we try to meld into a homogeneous, equal, you know, compassionate. Uh, oh, I hate this one. You have a word and you just can't think of it. Just a conglomeration, just combination of things that work, a mixture. Like last night, I made sukiyaki for dinner. Getting cold, right? I told my wife, "You want sukiyaki? Chicken sukiyaki." And a sukiyaki is, you got to make your sauce, and then Oriental style, you got to put an odd number of things inside. I have 9. I went 9. But it's these different ingredients that you put in, and you put it all together, and you make yourself a dish with a great. Well, it came out really good, perfect on a cold night like we're going to experience. Like I said, we're going to have winds up to, they said, 50, possibly gusts up to 60 miles an hour. And it's starting right now. We have some gusts, and like I said, it's coming from the south. So this house is made for north, but the south, it's all clear. We have no trees, and just gotta hope that my neighbors' roofs are good on that side of the house. But gotta learn. But see, that's what I mean. I made a dish. All of our dishes, all of our recipes. Unless you eat just boiled eggs or drink just water or just eat boiled potatoes with nothing on it. Very bland. And life is not bland. Life can be very spicy. You know that. But we got to learn. Okay? So learn to tolerate each other. Learn to accept people as long as they don't harm. As long as you do no harm, you do your thing, baby. You walk your beat. You go your path. You have freedom. Just don't step on other people. Learn. But anyway, I'm wearing green today. It's St. Patty's Day. Well, by the time it comes out, this will come out on the 16th, and tomorrow will be St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patty. Drink some green beer. But no, corned beef and cabbage. Yes, that's what I want. Except they don't make any good corned beef anymore. And with only me and my wife, I don't have the ice, the refrigerator space to cure my own corn. I did that a few years. Got pieces of brisket, and I cured my own and made my own corned beef, and my family absolutely loved it. But don't have that, don't have the room, don't have the time. But at least I learned how. But yeah, please try and learn. Open your brain. Open atama. That's what the Japanese call it, the head. Open your brain and learn. Open your eyes. Learn. Remember, you learn with your senses. Right, except this one. You don't learn with that. Well, sometimes you can. Look how much I've learned, right? But have a great St. Patty's Day. Have a great week. Like, subscribe, tell your friends. Just get along with each other, okay? And I'll see you next week. I don't know what the word's going to be. We'll see. But I'm learning. And every week is a new learning experience for me. So until then, hui ho, malama pono. And from me to you, aloha. Love you. Have a great week. Stay safe. Stay dry in Hawaii because we're expecting some rain. But I'll see you on the flip side. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.